You ready? First episode?
Let's do it.
Well, start with a good morning. If you can even say that. Like, it's only good morning if you slept, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it's really a good morning. I don't feel the best, that's for sure. Glad we pushed this back an hour considering the time we landed. But welcome to Actions Detrimental, Episode 1. Jared, Episode 1. For those of you who don't know, Jared Allen is my co-host. I almost messed your last name up there. That tells you where I'm at. But why don't you kind of give everyone an idea of like your background? Where'd you come from? Who is Jared Allen? Not the football player, obviously.
This is my least favorite thing to do ever.
To talk about yourself?
Yeah, I hate it.
Weird. That's my favorite thing to do.
Well, that's good because we're going to do that a lot this year. Yeah, I'm the social media guy. That's been my MO the last handful of years, or the purple vest guy, working with you and a few other drivers that we have at Pro Sport Management, handling all their social and digital needs.
Yeah, so Jared came on to the scene in 2019.
Yeah, it was right after you won your second 500.
Yeah, so 2019, and we've been on a tear. We've won about as many races or more races than everyone else since then.
Yeah.
So
I can only think of one person to. So there's been two changes in your racing career at the start of that time. One was you added someone to help with your social.
And you.
And Gabe Hart was the second.
I think it's a 50-50 split on what is who's responsible. And for those of y'all who don't know too, Jared is responsible for anything that's good on my social media. I'm responsible for anything that's funny. So there's kind of where who's posting what. And we do have some issues sometimes about who's posting what at what time. I have to kind of reel you back in when you feel like it's a hot time and, hey, we should comment on this or we should post about that. And I'm like, no, we don't want to do that. But anyway, Jared, I thought was going to be a great co-host. He travels with me most all weeks. And is right, kind of in the sport, but he's not I don't know that you're an avid fan. I think just enough to be dangerous. You've ridden in a lot of cars when I've been on the phone, talking about business stuff, or raising stuff. I hear a lot. So, yeah, you definitely hear a lot. You did sign all those confidentiality waivers, right?
Right, and this is edited, so.
Okay, perfect. Well, we just came off the Clash, or the Crash, whatever it is. It was wow, that was an interesting race for sure. It was a lot better for me for a while. The weekend overall was a ton better. All the Toyotas were just terrible last year, and interesting enough that we were all terrible in the first Martinsville as well. So whatever we didn't have figured out in the Clash, we didn't have figured out in the first Martinsville. Mm-hmm. And then we figured it out for Martinsville, and it looks like we got it all straight for the Clash. So I didn't know that those tracks really related that much, but it appears there's something there. So it's encouraging for us. I mean, obviously we had a top-tier car, one that could run top three. We won our heat and was up front till we got bumped out of the way. And then, Chastain got us after that. But, man, it was messy race. I mean, it's I don't even know where this race kind of goes. I think that we got two races under our belt in the Coliseum now, and NASCAR's made a significant investment in this race, and I wonder with the viewership bump that it got, from probably 1 million viewers to probably 3 or 3.5, whatever they had last year. It's like, how much of that I wonder is because they've just promoted more. You notice like there's way more promotion around the Clash.
Yeah.
Than
even just when we arrived in LA on Friday, I pointed out to you on the way to the hotel, like, oh, there's a Clash billboard. There's a Clash billboard. Yeah. So that was cool to see because you don't always see that in every city that we go to. No,
the only other place really I can think of is in Miami. Kind of in the downtown area of Miami, and then in Phoenix for championship weekend, you see some billboards and stuff. But true. I mean, even on TV, right? I mean, Fox was really pushing it during the football playoffs, which is good to see. And speaking of Fox, man, gosh, we got those characters back again. Those
you were in the.
I have a goatee. I've never had a goatee my whole life. I don't understand where they're getting these characters that they're drawing. Like, hey, listen, I love it because they give me, a massive body build.
Yeah.
But man, Fox, please just give us our faces back.
Yeah. There's a tweet on Twitter who got the worst end of the stick with the new Fox graphics, and you're in the running.
Oh, I am?
Yeah.
Shoot. Well, we only got to deal with it for half a year. It's not a big deal. Yeah, it was the race. God, it was so crazy. It's just such a different race when you're running up front than you're running in the back. Once I got spun back there, it's awful. I mean, it's the worst racing. It's not even racing, really. You're just kind of bumping the car in front of you, and then it just takes one person that's two rows back to just get pissed at somebody in front of them, and they just drive in and blatantly take out that person. But that person doesn't spin. It's the car in front that spins, which is why, like, I'm looking around, and after the race, I don't know who to be mad at. And if you look at all the drivers, all the wrecks that we've had, all the people that got taken out, nobody was fighting. You want to know why? Because we got out of the car and we're like, well, I don't know who's responsible. Like, you don't even know who's responsible. And then you're probably thinking, well, who's coming at me? Because surely I caused one of these wrecks as well. So we're running the fine line of entertainment and racing at the Clash now. So you see kind of floating around, is this thing going to go to a regular season points race? I agree with Logano that there's no way you could put 36 cars on that track. I think that's impossible. You would have to have the same format. I think you would have better racing at that track if keep it the Clash and stop inviting everyone to the party. Like, if you win a pole like you used to, you get to participate in the Clash. If you don't, you don't show up. Like, I guarantee you, who had the worst weekend was RFK. Like, they showed up again, didn't make the race again. I don't know what they made, maybe a couple bucks, and they spent a lot of time and effort going out there.
So you're saying if you come out, you're racing. All the charters are in the race.
Yeah, but I mean, the field, it used to be in the Clash 15, 18 cars. I think that it's so log jammed up from mid-pack back because the field, the according happens way in the front, and then it just gets, by the time it gets to the back, it's just awful. So I think the fewer the cars, I mean, we saw it in the heat races, the last chance qualifier. Like, we didn't have all this crazy car. We had 10 cars in each. So if you can spread us out, it might not provide the boxing type of entertainment. But I don't know. I'm wondering, like, is the juice still worth the squeeze on this thing? Like, has it run its course? I tell you this though, the vibe from what I heard was amazing. I mean, as pissed off as I was during the halfway break, like I can hear Wiz Khalifa. I'm like, right on, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And you hear the crowd kind of, getting into it, and you can tell, like, this is a new crowd. I think 40% are new fans. So I think it's really accomplishing a lot of the goals that NASCAR is wanting it to do. And I got to thinking about this too. Is like, is it worth their investment? Because obviously they're spending money building the track. They're spending money activating. They're spending money on concerts and all that stuff. And I'm like, how do they get the return on that? And I got to thinking, well, if you had the Clash at 1 million viewers for Fox's portion, and you immediately took one event and you jacked it up to 3 million or 3.5, the end number that you're promoting to Fox and any other potential bidders on our rights, that number is higher. And how many points, how many millions is it per point? Like, it's surely there's some sort of equation that these networks are going to start to see value in. And when you can jump one up 2 million, it's, you're going to get a bump. There's no question. I think the Chicago road course, we're not there for the race. It's not about the race. It's going to be about the experience, which I am all for. I've been pro, let's make these venues better. Let's make the experience better for years now. And NASCAR is really starting to do that, which is good. So Hopefully, I mean, I honestly, I think we're heading in a good direction. Just we got to really be careful with the fine line of getting to demolition derby.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that's really what we want to say. This is NASCAR racing. Like,
is that a product of, because I was watching it yesterday as a fan, at least part of the race as a fan, and I thought the on-track product was better than it was last year. Because last year you were single file for a lot of the race, and it wasn't that exciting. There wasn't much passing. And yesterday there was obviously a lot more action, a lot more passing. And as you said, a little demolition derby-ish. But like, is that a product of the track? Because you don't see that at Martinsville, right? And that, I mean, as the average fan, that's what I'm comparing this track to in my mind, right? It's a short track, it's small, tight corners.
It's like half the size though, right? It's so much smaller. I mean, I'm going to say something that I'm just, Twitter is just going to absolutely kill. Like, dare we put PJ1 in the second group? I mean, like, something, because we're plowing into each other because no one wants to be on the top.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I don't know honestly, I don't know what the right answer is. And I'd love to know what like NASCAR's feeling is about it. I mean, surely they didn't like us running around at 30 miles an hour under caution for all that time. I mean, it had to be over an hour in, and he was like, all right, we're halfway through the second stage. And I'm like, oh, wow. I don't even know, are they counting laps or not?
I don't think laps were counted under caution. That was my only thought is watching. Because first of all, in the student section, they love the crashes. Like, one guy wrecked another guy. Okay. This guy wrecked this guy. Middle fingers going at this guy when they come around. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, the student section was very lively. My only thought was, can you add, I don't know, can you do 250 laps but then count caution laps? Like, do the math there on how to trim it down so it's in that time window that you wanted it to be in.
Yeah, I mean, there's a balance there to be had for sure. I mean, at the end of the race, I was kind of, I got taken out, like, again, by Byron, and I was pissed. Like, I was spun around sideways on the track, and I'm giving him the finger, and, he's not really doing anything or retaliating. So I get out of the car, and I turn around, and I mean mug him, and then I walked over to him like, dude, what the I didn't touch you. Like, what do you blew the corner. And he's like, no, bro, like, Harvick was pissed at me, and he power drove me after the race, and I just ran into you. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm sorry. That's my fault. That's my fault. So, and I watched that. Harvick, I think, is mad at the wrong guy. I think Noah plowed the 24 and then the 24, because you can see, all right, when you watch replays, right, and it's showing the bumper cam, when you see the bump and then it jars the camera in another stronger bump, they're getting hit from behind. So, like, I just think you really have to dissect all these wrecks. Like, when I got wrecked by Chastain, I'm just like, I don't even know, like, well, was it him or was it like someone else? Now,
yeah, you've seen the replay now, though.
It was him.
Yeah,
shocker. But he just gassed it up early like he did at Gateway, and didn't you say something about awareness?
Yeah,
on the plane?
I said it's just astounding that when Ross is running behind you, that at this point, after the third, fourth incident, they seize the 11 bumpers. Like, okay, I'm gonna just tiptoe around this one, and that's not the case whatsoever. Like, it blows my mind. This still just drives in. Yeah, is racing as hard as you can.
I think it's simply because it's just there hasn't been, when your kids misbehave. I'm not calling them kid, by the way. When your kids misbehave, you just got to keep upping the punishment until it really kind of gets their attention. So,
but you can't. You don't think that, like, there's the 11 car. Oh, yeah, I remember that breakfast we had. That was good.
I mean, everyone has that person that they get behind. They're like, like, for me, it's Blaney. Like, I've kind of put Blaney in a few bad spots over the last kind of year or so, and I'm like, and I'm behind him, and I'm pissed. I just want to go through the field, and I want to knock out everyone in the way. I don't want to spin him. I just want to knock him out of the way as soon as I get to him, so I can get back to the one. Like, that's all I was trying to do all race, and I was stuck in 15th. But then I got behind Blaney, and I'm like, God, man, I can't give him the business. Like I've already the deposit and withdrawals, it's not really even. Like Blaney's been super fair to me, and I just kind of I know that I've wronged him a few instances. Like I haven't wrecked him, but I've just pinched him in some times, and you just know that as a driver, and it's amazing, like you're saying, that there's no self-awareness. It's like
like the switch,
Spaceland.
Like, yes,
I don't know what's going on in the head, but we'll see. So it was 5 cautions last year. What was it, 15 this year?
It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was more than I cared to be a part of. That's for sure. So, but congrats to Martin Truex. Big win for him. I know last year he talked about being a bag of dicks, and now he's winning. So I don't know, man. It just seems like those guys when they start hot, they can get hot with that 19 team for sure. People were trying to I saw on Twitter they were really like, well, you got to be pissed at Bubba, and yeah, I am, but I also saw that kind of he got, I barely got hit too hard, and the 19 barely hit him, and it just kind of, again, it doesn't take much to really get these cars kind of out of shape when you start bumper tagging. Speaking of which, man, the bumper tag still hurts. Like, it's I don't feel anything softer. I know that that's something that NASCAR might be still testing, is softer bumpers itself. Man, we need it really bad. Like, I mean, once you start bumper tagging into corners, like your Hans locks out and you can feel a jar in your head. So it's still pretty abrupt. And I talked about how I feel today. Like I've never felt as bad. Again, I had both sides knocked off, both bumpers knocked off. I don't know if mine's carbon monoxide or what, but it's you were on the plane with me. I was up in the pilots.
Yeah.
I put on
you look like
their mask. I'm like, I need oxygen. I'm like, I don't feel well at all, and I still right now I don't feel good at all. So
you look like
powering
ET,
through though, giving the people what they want.
You look like ET riding in Elliot's basket, trying to stay warm.
I did. That's right. I took the blanket and just put it over my head, and I had this mask that just suctioned in my face. I don't know if anyone's seen Little Shop of Horrors when the doctor. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh,
but I'm gonna play along like I have.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Where the doctor had on his oxygen mask, and it had little tubes, and it was breathing. I'm like, this is what I've got. Anyway, we'll move on from that. But yeah, I'm starting to feel better as I'm talking. So it's working. So that kind of wraps up the Clash. This week coming up is not much going on other than the Super Bowl. So usually me and my friends try to get together and watch that. Do you watch much football?
A little bit. When the Panthers are good, I'll watch the Panthers every weekend, or Tom Brady. So now I'm kind of not watching any football because there's no Tom Brady.
I'm not a
Panthers
fan just because of Cam Newton, and I'm well aware he's not on the team.
That's why you don't like the Panthers?
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like that's a lot of reason why people do like the Panthers.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Because he was just so electric.
Yeah, sure. Sort of. Whatever you say. He had interesting hats.
Yeah. I think it's funny to think back to that Super Bowl. Not to get off topic here, but you brought up Cam Newton.
I knew
if he won that Super Bowl, there'd be a statue down in Charlotte of Cam Newton. His legacy would be completely different.
The hats would have just got bigger and more obnoxious. But
yeah.
I need to kind of warm up to the Panthers because it is kind of where I live down there in North Carolina now. So I need to kind of root for the home team. But
who's your pick for the Super Bowl?
I think the Eagles got the easiest route to the Super Bowl of any team out there. I mean, they played the Giants.
Yep, and they got a free win after that.
They got a free win. Like, I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, these poor 49ers. And it was just, it was super unfortunate for them because they went on a huge run with their third string quarterback. And how great of a story would that have been for the quarterback? Like, I mean, surely that somebody from, a docuseries was just waiting to ink the deal for Mr. Irrelevant going to the Super Bowl. But It looks like he's still got an awesome future ahead of him. So, we're just going to chill out, watch the Super Bowl. I don't have any other plans. It's pretty much a light week. We'll go to JGR and 2311 and debrief kind of our weekend and get ready for Daytona. I guess, get ready to go qualify.
Yeah.
So there's nothing between now and when we go find out where we're going to start for the duels and the Daytona 500. So last weekend off for a while, so better enjoy it.
Long time.
Yep.
All right, NASCAR rule changes, which I'm sure you saw.
I did. They made a bunch of them. The biggest one, obviously, that got the most pub was kind of the wall riding that Chastain did. I mean, from the car owner standpoint, that was a must. I mean, those cars are nearly $300,000 or more, and it was going to be necessary. If you look at the time he gained, which was about 3 seconds or so, it was going to force the field to destroy their car on the last lap to not get past. So
you think it would be if there was no rule? You think you'd see that every race?
No, just at tracks where the center of this corner is a slow speed.
Right,
so
but that's only a handful of tracks.
Martinsville was going to be the perfect storm for it. It was the track that it was going to work the best. So it did. I'm glad that it's over with. I'm tired of seeing it. It affected me. It was novelties are fun as long as they don't affect you. But I got the short end of that stick. I'm going through the pack, and it's like, we had another bad pit stop. Last year was tough for us on pit road. We controlled the race. We dominated the race, and then we had a bad pit stop, and they said, all right, we got to gain 3 positions. And the one had a great pit stop. So he was in front of me, and I got around him and then just started putting cars between us. And I'm like, I'm just putting a clinic on here. It's like, and he's like, all right, we're 2 behind. We're 1 behind. We're good. We're up 1. We're up 2. And I go into the last corner, and I'm, about to make a move on Brad. And I'm like, well, I'm up 2. I don't need to. I'm good here. And, because I knew that he wasn't going to pass 2 cars in a half straightaway. But I think he passed like 5 or 8.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so then what do you make? What do you make of like when Kyle Larson attempted that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because
to me they seem like
sort of
different...
like the same thing. It's sort of like the same thing, right? But it wasn't.
Right.
He tried it. I mean, he even admitted that he went into that corner with the intention of not letting up. And what is it with people trying to wall ride me? Why am I always in this thing? Like, I'm telling you, man, I have to be the most unlucky driver ever. I just don't, I can't, again, I only know because it's my life and the things that have affected me, and everyone has bad beats, right? Just crazy things of, we should have won this or we should have done that. But like, man, the shouldas, it's just such a long list.
The more it happens though, the more like people will start believing that it's like, oh yeah, maybe Denny just is the unlucky guy, right?
Yeah. What I say last year, I'm the black cat of death when it comes to winning a championship. Oh, we're going to keep trying, Jared. Keep trying. The other big rule changes has been that they're not suspending the crew chief for 4 races when you lose a wheel. It's a difference if you lose it on pit road versus on the racetrack. I think all those rule changes are good. I think that they were thought out. Those are things that they did discuss with the ownership group and the teams. It's a good compromise. I certainly think that if you lose a wheel, it is self-policing. Like it's a real bad detriment to you anyway. Nobody wants to lose a wheel. This was all started when Tony Stewart ran his mouth and was like, guys are intentionally putting on 2 and 3 lug nuts. There's only 1 now. And if you don't tighten it, you're in big trouble. So I always say, I just wish Tony would go there and say, I apologize. Like, how much money did these teams pay in fines for 1 lug nut loose? Like, this is crazy. A lot of boat fuel money. Got to keep them afloat. So yeah, that's there is a lot of rule changes, but I don't. They added some True's rule stuff. There was some talk on the driver text about like, is it why is it not on road courses? Which I believe it's not on road courses. I could be wrong, but I think you just put it everywhere. I guess, but not sure how that's all going to work. But they'll figure it out. I think all the rule changes. There was nothing that I saw that was like, I'm not really sure about that. I think they made the right call.
What about all of them? Super speedways? Does that change anything on restarts? Picking the guy.
Yeah, we're choosing now.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, in super speedways, you've always been able to choose the front row. And how I feel like I lost the 2018 Daytona 500 is just choosing the wrong lane. I knew what my playbook had said for me to do, and I went against it because of the circumstances of the cars, who was behind me and what cars were 2 and 3 rows back. And that was the one that, Austin Dillon won because he was on the opposite side of that. So, yeah, it was, I think it's good. It's certainly, the thing about super speedway cars, though, is they're not very agile. Like, you can't swerve very quickly. So, I think someone's going to get caught, like, sitting, driving over the box, because these cars just, their steering racks are a lot slower. They don't move around as quick. So that's pretty much all we got as far as rule changes that are the big hitters.
Yeah. Studio decor. This is the first time anyone, other than the little teaser we put out on your Instagram, but this is the first time anyone will see this setup on camera. And all your great achievements.
Yeah, so some people will see it on camera when you tune in later in the week, and some people are listening to this
right.
Today or tomorrow is going to be like, oh, what are you talking about? Go to Jared's Instagram page. It's at DennyHamlin.com. It's at Denny Hamlin. So, yeah, I told these guys, I'm like, everyone's always, putting up their accomplishments and their trophies, like, hey, look how much of a badass I am. I'm like, no, I want all my wrecks, all my fights. I want, actions that were detrimental to me. That's what this is all about. Everyone was like, oh, you're waging a war against NASCAR. I'm like, no, I'm waging a war against myself. Like, I want to show, the not so pleasant moments that I've had. I got to get a backstory on the man holding the lady in here, but I've got so many that we could add, especially on your side. One I thought that was a must is behind Jared's head. It's me spinning out Chase at Martinsville, because every time I nudge someone, all the Chase Elliott fans are like, yeah, but look what you did. I'm like, dude, it's been 5 years or more than that now. Like, get over it. Like, he's gotten over it. Why can't you? What's your problem, right? And I would recommend to them, don't throw stones. So, so it's cool. I like it. I wanted the speakeasy vibe. I wanted kind of kind of a low light, dark feel, and they did a great job. So I'm excited about it.
I like that. That picture is very random, of course. Mm-hmm. I think it just fit the theme, or maybe they just didn't print enough pictures yet to put there. But I like the metaphor is that I think this girl is it looks like she's like getting carried away by the police. Which, so in my mind, like, the police could have been Austin. You're the girl.
Yeah, and I get it. It makes sense.
Because every other one of these, Austin's in just about every one.
I know. Austin, he's not happy about the picture behind my head. It's one of him at Indianapolis. When me and Chase Briscoe were talking, he's like, dude, could you have worked on my belly? Like, my gut looks terrible. I mean, the guy drinks 30 Coors Lights a day, and he's wondering why he's got a beer gut. So,
Another thing we got is mean tweets.
Oh, really?
People.
This is a surprise to me. I didn't know this was coming.
People loved your announcement about this podcast. Here, let me airmail these down to you so you can read some. That didn't work.
Very unathletic.
Our table's very long.
Yeah. So me and Jared are looking face to face. He's on the opposite end of it's like a restaurant booth, I guess.
Yeah, but you could fit like a party of 14 in here.
Well, what we're going to do is just line up everyone that's on my list, and I'm just going to go down the line like Mike Dave says. He's like, who's ready to apologize?
Yeah.
Tell me.
That's a good idea. This booth is playing.
Raise your hand, and you'll have your moment to speak.
You.
Yeah.
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 All right. Go ahead.
Okay. So.
Well, I got to read these two. You can't read them to yourself.
Oh, okay. All right. So you want me to hear the insult?
Yes, exactly. You can't read it and then process it. You just got to hear it.
Great.
All right. First one. The next on up for retirement, except no one will be cheering other than him off the track. 11 sucks.
Jared, why don't you hit me with that one more time?
Yeah,
you're going to get one more shot, and then I'm going to have to read it myself.
The next on up. I'm reading it how it's tweeted.
It's not worded correctly.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
The next on up for retirement, except no one will be cheering other than getting him off the racetrack. 11 sucks. Hashtag.
I mean, for him to put the time and effort into that tweet, clearly, I mean, I'm definitely of the opinion that haters are just admirers that have lost their way. And that fella has lost his way.
This is a good one. Pass. I can hear whining whenever I want from my 3-year-old. There's no need to hear more of it on a podcast.
Hey, listen. If you want a fluff podcast, this is not your podcast. A lot of the media and all, everything's great and happy, and we're going to try to keep it real here. Like, I can assure you this, that I am not always going to be right. I'm going to be wrong a lot, but these are my opinions. And, again, I just feel like, Dale Jr. kind of explained this to me, that what convinced me was like, dude, he says, I feel like you're misunderstood. I feel like people look at a sentence that someone from the media posts that you said during a media session, and they didn't hear the full context of what you meant. And he's like, I know what you meant, but this will give you a platform to kind of explain what you're actually talking about. So shout out to Dale for, he sold me with that one. It's like, oh, you mean you can help people not misunderstand me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Well, there goes that deal. I'll never watch again. Denny Hamlin is one of the, and this is another one. The thing with the mean tweets is they're just also worded horribly.
Well,
that seems just like a common trend. Well, there goes that deal. I'll never watch again. Denny Hamlin is one of the dirtiest I've seen in 50 years of racing. He acts like it's never his fault.
Oh my gosh. This could not be more untrue. Like, I'm posting pictures of me wrecking Chase and getting a pie to the face. Like, what are they talking about? I take accountability when I feel like it is my fault. The problem is, it's usually not my fault. So, I'm just trying to be real here. And if you look at the tally of how many times the 11 car gets the bad end of the deal, it is way tipped not in my favor. We got to level the scale.
Glad I missed it. Hamlin is a douche.
Well, you haven't missed it yet, bud. This is our first episode. What the hell is this guy talking about?
And last one. How old does a man have to be before a backwards hat becomes concerning?
Hey, listen, my midlife crisis happened 10 years ago, and I see it for going on for at least 10 more years. So might as well just get over that.
The last thing, Dirty Mo started another new podcast with Steve Letarte. This one will be with him and his gambling friends. You know Steve very well.
It's Dirty Mo Doe with Steve Letarte. Steve, I love Steve. I play golf with Steve. I think he's one of the best analysts that we have in our sport. He does a great job of dumbing it down to fans, when it comes to like the technical stuff. And he loves sports. I remember him telling me, we were at the Grove down in Florida last week, and he was like, hey man, Indiana, they're the worst first quarter team. You got to bet against Indiana. And I'm like, Steve, where do you get that? And then here he comes 10 minutes later. See, I told you they lost by 10. So Steve knows what he's talking about. So he's going to give people, and one thing about Steve too, is he does his homework on NASCAR. He's not just the guy that puts on a headset and he's, just making up in the booth. Like, he really spends a lot of time. He's got a lot of good information. And I think his insight on NASCAR and that whole betting stuff is going to be great. I think he's going to really give people some great insight. He has information of like, well, I talked to this crew chief and they said that they're going to get upgrades here or there, or they're fighting this or they're fighting that. That's going to be something that people are going to want to tune into for sure. And then obviously he's going to have an opinion on who's to bet on in the Super Bowl, which I didn't give my pick.
Yeah, you glossed
went right over. The Eagles had the easiest route. Kansas City, everybody in the world's like Kansas City. I believe that the public are dummies, so I'm going to go the Eagles simply because the public is dumb. And I think the Eagles have a great team on the defense and offensive side. So I'm just going to be counterintuitive and pick the Eagles simply because the public will likely be on.
Well, the Eagles are going to be the favorite, no?
They're the favorite, but that doesn't mean that the public is betting them. So there is a difference.
Okay. I, too, would...
Dirty Modo will explain that to you.
There you go. Good plug for Letarte there. Another thing, since we're on the Dirty Mo topic and other Dirty Mo podcasts, I saw it on Speed Street. They were talking about like a Dirty Mo Olympics, I think it was. Anyway, all the podcasts going against each other in games of sorts. How do you feel about our chances if that was to happen?
Well, I don't like our chances if it's an eating contest. DBC is clearly going to win that one. But as far as sports and athletics, Connor's got some athletic ability, I would imagine. So yeah, I'd be up for that. But I want non-impact. Like, let's do some cornhole, some bowling,
Okay.
Old man stuff. Pickleball.
Yeah, I think we'd handle that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
As you can see on my Instagram, I've taken up pickleball. I love it. I've turned my basketball gym on the weekends on Sunday. Well, during the off season, I did anyway.
Yeah.
Into two pickleball courts, which is awesome. I have a lot of fun. Jared,
I'm just not a good doubles teammate.
I got great. You're not.
I'm a good. I think I'm a decent pickleball
You're a terrible
player.
teammate for sure.
Yes, I agree.
But you do have a good one-on-one game, which I thought I liked singles better too, because like if I suck, I want it to be my fault, not my teammates.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun sport. It's taken off huge, and I got great news for you.
What?
The house that I'm renting in.
Oh yeah.
In Scottsdale during the West Coast Swing.
So it's just one-on-one pickleball.
That's
all day?
all. That was how I organized them first. Show me what's got a pickleball court, and so like every Airbnb or VRBO has got pickleball courts now. So they're getting rid of tennis courts.
All right, we'll
take it over.
We'll get some have Larson come over. Have JP come over.
Yeah. They're
we'll get some
residents now.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you in just a couple weeks.
We got to plug before we leave. You got to learn how to do this now that you're a podcast host.
Oh,
you got to plug your social media.
No, you do that.
Okay. Well, you can follow Denny on social media at Denny Hamlin. You can follow me on social media at Denny Hamlin. No. Mine is at Jared D. Allen. I don't want to make people think that you don't do your social, because you do.
I do.
You do.
Yeah, that's
put a lot into
if
it.
it's funny or smart ass, it's definitely me.
Yeah, you usually have a hand in just about everything that goes up there. And lastly, Dirty Mo Media at Dirty Mo Media across all socials.
And are we back next week or the following week?
That's up to you.
Oh, up to me. We'll let you know. Follow Jared's social at Denny Hamlin to find out.